Hello my crafty friends. Today we're going to make and decorate these easy, beginner-friendly book page pockets that are wonderful to include in your journal. Won't you come and join us? Hello and welcome to my craft table. It's Trini here. How are you all? So I am surrounded by book pages, and today we're going to do a very beginner friendly back to basics book page pockets, but we're also going to have a look at some other embellishments and ideas that we can use our book pages for, because let's face it, you buy one book in the thrift shop and you can get a lot out of it. So I am going to do a follow-up video as well on how to deconstruct a book and what type of books to collect for. But in this video, we're going to have a look at some pockets. So I've got some book page pockets here. We're going to cut them down and fold them, and if you've got a sewing machine, that's great. If not, just glue, that's fine. And we're going to make some very basic book page pockets. First one, you're going to need 2 sheets of book page. Now of course every book is different, and when you are making a journal, you want to pick a book that is roughly going to suit the journal. But just so that you know what I'm working with, this book page is about 14 centimeters, a little bit over, say 14.5 centimeters wide, which is about 5.5 inches or maybe 5 3/4 inches wide. And as far as being how tall, it's 23 centimeters, so it's way longer than an A4 piece of paper. And then it's just 4 inches, it's just a bit over 9 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off the margins. But first of all, for this pocket, what I'm going to do is I've got my book page this way. This one, you want to turn it upside down. Okay, now we are going to be covering this, so I'm probably not too concerned with the words, but I still do like to check. So we're going to glue them together, so just use glue stick. Now because I'm going to be trimming off the margins, I'll just sort of mainly focus on gluing the text block. Okay, so this one is upside down and this one is the right side up. Okay, and we'll just get our trimmer and I'm just going to sort of pretty much trim down to the text block. Okay, so these ones here, you can keep these. These have got a nice little patina on them, and you can use these for stamping sentiments or even checking your book pages and finding something nice. So earlier when I was chopping up some book page, I found that what time is it, and I thought that would be a nice almost like little prompt, or you could add that. So you can use it to back sentiments like that. So do keep, especially if they've got a nice patina and they're a good book page, that you like the sturdiness of the book page. We've now got our little text block here. So what we're going to do is we're just simply going to fold this up, and we're going to just use our little burnish bone folder tool, and that's pretty much it. So you can stitch around, which I'll do in a moment, but I wanted to maybe just decorate a little bit here. So when I trim pages down, especially digitals and things like that, or I keep all these strips, and these are handy, especially for something like this. So you know, that's quite pretty. So we could tear this off. So if I use that to, I'll tear it to the pink flower there. That should be around about the right size, and then I'll get some of my distress ink. So this one is Vintage Photo. Okay, and then I'll just use my glue here to just glue this down. So we can just put a little bit of decorative, or I might need to tear a little bit of that off. Okay, so we can put that there like so. And that's quite nice to read. Teresa laughed, the sound was like silver bells. And then here we might want to put, you know, you could put something like lettering, or if you've got some nice washi tape. I might try and find I do have some nice tape. Let's have a look at what we've got. I think this might be nice. This is some Amity Bloom washi tape that I treated myself to some time ago. So I think that actually might go very nicely. Okay, so we can put a nice little strip there. So you just tear that. And then I'll just tear that little bit there. In fact, I might want to just come in and tear just a little bit more of that. All right, so we've got that like that. So I'm going to open that up and I'm going to stitch across here. Then what I can do is I can add some glue to either side, glue that shut, but then I'll stitch all the way around. Okay, so while I'm waiting for the glue to dry, okay, so the next one we're going to have a piece of paper, so we'll double glue this one down. So I'll do the same thing, but this time you don't need to worry about turning anything over. And then I've got another 2 pieces of paper that I've folded in half. So I've literally just got the paper, folded it in half, and then we can glue those shut. And we'll do the same with this one. Okay, so we've got our 3 pieces now. So I'm going to trim these all down. So I might do that all together so that we know that we've got the right sizes. Okay, so now we've got our 3 pieces. So now we want to decide how big we want to make the pockets. So I have got a kind of template journal here. So if we sit that there like so, we can probably, if I trim it across the top here, so let's just fold that down so we get an idea. This is how I do it. I don't really, yeah, I think if we trim it there and then we trim it along the bottom. Okay, so we're just going to trim that excess piece there, and then I'm going to trim it along the bottom, and that's our base piece. And then what we're going to do is work out where we want our first pocket. So let's fold that over and have that about there. I think that will be a good size there. And then we can have this coming down here. So let's fold this over. And then I think if we, probably that sentence there where he stepped closer. So I just use the text in the book to, like the sentence, to work out where to cut. And then I fold that over so it just reinforces it that little bit there. So now we've got 3 pockets. Well, we've got 2 pockets, or you could have 3 if you wanted to keep that open. So what we'll do is now we'll just run some glue and we'll close this over. And we'll just close this one up as well. Okay, and then we can place our pockets down now. So if we wanted to, we could put that up about there, and then we could bring that one down here. So we only need to really glue the sides, because then that way the tag can just come down to the bottom. So let's do it about there. Now actually what we want to do is distress this before we glue it down. And in fact, now if you want to stitch, now is the time to stitch as well. So I will stitch across here, and then I will stitch so we're going to have it like that, and then like that. So I'm going to stitch across here and stitch across here. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I have sewn my edges. So while I'm at it, I've done the same thing. I've gotten 3 sheets of paper of the book page, and I have cut it down to fit how I would like to place it on my journal. So I'm going to glue these 2 together. I might have to use a different glue because I've run out of glue sticks, so I'll have to use this glue now. This is an old glue. Don't even know, it's called a 2-way glue, but anyway, I guess it's good to use it up. So I'll just glue these together. Okay, now with this one here, it's the same size piece of paper, but you want to fold it so that these 2, this corner here and this corner here, are the fold line. So I've sort of just pinched each one in the corner of where I want it to fold, and then I've just kind of come along and folded it like so. There we have it like that, and so we can get some scissors and just trim that little bottom piece off there. And then we can now glue this. Okay, so we've got that glued down. I'll just fix that little tear there. Okay, so then we can do the same thing. I'll run a line across there with the stitching, and then I'll end up stitching all the way around, and then I'll finish off this one here, and I'll stitch this all the way around as well. All right, I'll be back when that's all done and we'll finish off the decorating. Okay, so I stitched the little angle area there. Now what I'm going to do is get my glue and roughly just run a line across here and a line across here. It's just to hold it down really while I'm stitching. Actually, before, so I keep forgetting that step. I just want to distress the edge here with the ink just before I glue it down, and then I'm just going to line that up, and I'll take it to the sewing machine. So now we've got a side pocket, but we've got a bit of a background there, and I'll come back when that is all stitched. Okay, so all stitched. Now I will come around with my distress ink and I'll just finish off the edges. So the stitching, if you can stitch, reinforces everything nicely. Otherwise, if you don't have a sewing machine, you can just glue it down. Just pay particular attention to the edges. Okay, so now we've got our 3 pockets. So let's do some decorating. We've already partially decorated this one, so let's finish this. Okay, so I've got a couple of stamps I've pulled out here from Mackie Stamps, but if you've got a small stamp, anything will do. Now, from the same book, I found a piece of blank paper that I'm going to roughly tear. So let me get my ruler out. Okay, so let's work out how much we need. So I think if we rip just above that line there with the number, and then if we just sort of rip, doesn't even have to be that much, but let's leave it at that. It can just be a little amount. I might actually make that just a fraction bit smaller so we can see a little bit more of the book page. Okay, so I've just got my piece of paper there, so I think I'll just edge that first. Okay, so I have just placed my 2 bird stamps on the acrylic block, and I'll just do some stamping. I usually press for about 5 seconds. There we go, they've come out nicely. The reason I have used the blank paper is because it, on the book page, it probably won't show up that well. So I think that has now highlighted the birds very nicely. Now, if you wanted to, you could even get a stencil and just very, very lightly, just in the background, I might just do some dots, very, very, very lightly, just to give a hint of it. There we go, like that. All right, so now we'll get that down. It just so it's not so stark white or stark cream, but just gives it something. Okay, so there's our first pocket decorated. So you've got that down on a page and you've got a pocket there, and if you wanted to, you could also have a pocket there. Okay, so this is like a template size of some journals that I'm going to be making. So if we put that on the page, that's how it would look. So you could put something in there, or you could put something in there if you wanted to. Okay, so that's our first pocket decorated. So now this pocket here, Okay, so I've pulled out some bits and pieces. So these strips of book paper, they've got a lovely aged patina to them. Now this I got from Temu, and what I've done is I've rolled a strip, so I'll just roll another one. I mean, you can use a strip of washi tape if you've got something like that, or you might have a stamp that is quite similar. Okay, so I'll just use my ink now to just lightly distress the edge. I mean, when you've got a tag in there, you're not really going to see it, but it's just nice to sort of have it peeking through. And again, this is something that you can buy a book, and you know, if you get the right type of book, you can literally pull out pages and make a lot of ephemera out of the book for your journal. Because even if you don't use the book pages as a pocket, I might just trim that down just a little bit more. You can just use it as a substrate for journal cards. So I might just cut that exactly the same. Yeah, so you can use it as a substrate for journal cards, tags, all sorts of things. Especially like if you're doing a particular themed type journal and you try and find a book that would suit that journal. You know, like if you were doing a Jane Eyre, for example, and you could find yourself an old Jane Eyre book. I mean, I do like to do themed journals, so I have got, you know, Harry Potter books, I've got Alice in Wonderland, I have got, like with my little golden books, I've got so many children's books waiting to be used. I've got books with French writing, got German books, dictionary, everything. Okay, so, and then I think just down here actually this is where I like to use the 450 quick dry, because I find that on vellum type paper it does not, but it doesn't buckle and crease. So I'll just pop that there like so. And then I've got a little bit of toil here. So I might glue, let's distress a little portion of this toil here with the ink. And then I might, let's quickly do that. And I'll use the same glue. Just roughly trim around the butterfly. Okay. There we go. And might just trim these edges just a little bit just to neaten it off. Okay, and so we've got those two there. Now this one here, I've got a little bit of some tea-dyed doily, and I've got a little sticker, and I've also got some book page, and I've got a little stamped bird. So let's get this down. So if I tear down to about here, and then let's have a look. I tear across here, okay, so we can get this one down. Okay, and then what I was thinking was to just add a little bit of book page like so, and then I believe that this is a sticker. We'll see if we can get this up. Try the sticky tape hack. There we go. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that, and that, and then we can put the bird down. So let me just place that carefully there, and I'll just tear around the edge of the bird very carefully. This is obviously a stamping session I had where I just stamped a whole lot of little images onto some spare paper, and I've missed his little tail, but I think I've got a bit of an idea of what we can do. Okay, and let me just do this. Okay, so we've got that, and then I was thinking we could put that over the top just to disguise the fact that there is no tail. All right, so let's get looking for my glue, and it's right there in front of me. Okay, so let's get this down. And we'll glue this one down. Actually, I might just pull that up and just stick that under there, like so. Okay, and then we'll just stick the little sticker over the top. Maybe that sticker might not be the best. I think it would look all right if we put it there like that. Okay, we'll see if we can get my sticky tape up carefully. Might have to leave the sticky tape down. It's one of the matte ones, so it's not shiny, so I think it can just stay. Now what I was thinking was to find something to just run a strip across there. So let me get my book page and see if I can find something. Oh, in the first early morning light. How about something like that? So that's another thing that you can do, is scan your book pages and look for appropriate words that you can use, and you can include them in your journal. Okay. And then I was thinking we could just put that across like so. I mean, in all fairness, it probably would look a little bit nicer down there. And I feel that we need to have something underneath it to let it stand out a bit. I've got some graph sort of washi, so let's stick that down. I think that would look all right. And I might just run a little bit of glue. If I had my Boss Stick glue gun, I would use that, but I've run out. So off to the shops for me. Right, so that's that one there. All right, so there we go. We have got our 3 pockets made out of book page, and I will do a follow-up video actually as well, because I have got some more ideas. We'll do some more actual embellishments, but here we are. We've got this first pocket here. Like I said, this is Real Junk Journal 101 basic book pages, but we've got that one there with the 2 pockets or 3 pockets if you didn't want to seal the top. And we've got this one, which is a single pocket, or it could be a double pocket there as well. And then we've got this one here, which is a side tuck pocket. Well, okay guys, that's it for me for another video. I hope you've enjoyed some ideas on how you can make some book pages, very simple, easy book pages. You can easily do mess makes on this type of thing, and they're just always good to have a few of these in your journals. I think that's it for this one. If you liked the video, it would be great if you could give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed as yet, it would be great if you could consider subscribing. Any questions, leave in the comment section down below. I'm more than happy to answer, and I answer everybody. So that's it guys for me, until the next one. Bye.